The cat conundrum. Can you actually be allergic to a hypoallergenic cat? Hey there. Welcome back to the stuff you should think about. I'm G, and I'm glad you decided to hang out with me today. So, picture this. You're walking down the street. You see a fluffy, adorable kitten in a shop window, and your heart just melts, right? You want that cat. You want the purring, the little paw kneading, oh, 9 yards. But then your brain hits the brakes. You remember the last time you were near a feline. Your eyes turned into itchy, watery saucers. Your nose decided to go on a strike, and you were sneezing so hard, you almost threw your back out. We've all heard the term, right? Hypoallergenic. You see it on cat adoption ads, in magazines, and floating around online. Hypoallergenic cats, perfect for the allergy sufferer. But today, I want to pull back the curtain on that. I want to talk about what's actually happening inside your body, and more importantly, what's actually happening with these hypoallergenic cats. Grab a coffee, maybe keep your tissues handy just in case, and let's dive in. The misunderstood villain is not the fur. When most of us think about cat allergies, we assume it's fur. It makes sense, right? Cats are furry. You get close to them, they start sneezing. Therefore, the fur must be the culprit. But here's the first fact for your mental toolkit. It's not the hair. If you were allergic to cat hair, you'd be allergic to a sweater made of felt. The reality is that the allergen isn't the fur itself. It's a protein called FeLD1. Now, FeLD1 is produced primarily in a cat's sebaceous glands. Those are the glands in the skin that produce oils. It's also found in their saliva and their urine. Because cats are incredibly fastidious groomers. They spend like half of their waking life licking themselves. They're basically coating their fur in this protein-rich saliva. When that saliva dries, it turns into microscopic flakes called dander. And dander is essentially the cat's version of dust. It's tiny, it's lightweight, and it floats through the air like a glitter bomb of allergens. When you breathe that in, or when it lands on your skin, your immune system, which is supposed to be protecting you from dangerous bacteria, gets a little confused. It sees this harmless protein and goes, whoa, intruder alert, and launches a full-scale tactical response. That response is what we call an allergy attack. The hypoallergenic myth. So, if the protein is the problem, why do people sell hypoallergenic cats? Here's the thing. There is no such thing as a 100% hypoallergenic cat. The term hypoallergenic literally means less than or below average allergenicity. It doesn't mean non-allergenic. People often treat the label like a guarantee, but it's really just a tendency. Some breeds are marketed as hypoallergenic because they produce less of the FeLD1 protein than your average domestic short hair. The most famous one is the Siberian because they have a different genetic makeup. Some Siberians produce significantly lower levels of their protein. Other breeds, like the Sphynx, the hairless ones, are often labeled hypoallergenic. But here's the catch. they still produce the protein. They still have saliva. They still have oil glands. They just don't have fur to trap the dander and release it into the air as easily. But even then, a sphinx needs to be bathed regularly to wash their protein away. If you don't bathe them, you're just petting a warm, rubbery ball of saliva and dander. Why some people react differently? Have you ever noticed how you might be fine around your friend's cat, but you start wheezing the second you step into your auntie's house? This is part of the mystery. The output of FeLD1 varies from cat to cat. A male cat, particularly an unneutered one, generally produces more of this protein than a female. Why? Because the protein is linked to testosterone. So, if you're looking to adopt and you're sensitive to allergens, a spayed or neutered female is statistically going to be a much easier roommate for your immune system. Also, consider the environment. If that cat lives in a house with heavy carpets, thick curtains, and poor ventilation, that dander stays trapped. It's like a cloud of allergens hanging out at eye level. If you put that same cat in a minimalist apartment with hardwood floors and an air purifier, your body might not even notice the cat is there. The science of less. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of why we even bother with these hypoallergenic breeds. Is it just marketing? Not entirely. Researchers have found that certain genetic mutations in cats can lead to a lower production of the FeLD1 protein. There's actually some really fascinating biotech work going on right now. Some companies are looking at CRISPR, Cas9 gene editing to eventually create cats that simply don't produce the protein at all. For a minute, you guys probably thought I was going to say, oh, do hypoallergenic cats have anything to do with gangs? No. It's called the CRISPR, CRIPS dash Cas, Cas9 gene. Just wanted to point that out. That's a whole ethical debate for another day. But it shows just how much we want to bridge this gap between humans and our feline friends. But for now, what can you actually do? If you're an allergy sufferer who is determined to own a cat, it's not about finding a magic breed. It's about managing the environment. One thing you could do is the air purifier is your best friend. Look for one with a HEPA filter. These are designed to catch particles as small as the dander proteins. Hard surfaces only. If you have allergies, wall-to-wall carpeting is a nightmare. It's a literal trap for dander. Hardwood, tile, or laminate floors are much easier to clean. The cat-free zone. Keep your bedroom a strictly cat-free sanctuary. You spend a third of your life in bed. Your immune system needs those 8 hours to recover from the day. Last one would be bathing. I know. Try bathing a cat and, maybe think a little bit different. If you start when they're kittens, they might tolerate it. But bathing reduces the dander loaded significantly. Plus, there are special wipes you can use that neutralize the protein on the cat's fur without a full-on water bottle. So, back to our question. Should you believe in hypoallergenic labels? Treat it as a suggestion, not a promise. If you're allergic, Just don't go out and buy a Siberian kitten because a website told you it's safe. Spend some time with the cat first. Go to the breeder's house or the shelter and sit in the room with the animal for 30 minutes. If your nose is itching within 5 minutes, no amount of marketing is going to fix that for you at home. The reality is that your immune system is unique to you. Some people can build up a tolerance over time. My cousin, for example, she lived with a roommate's cat for 3 months, taking Benadryl every single day. And by month 4, her body just stopped reacting. That's what we call desensitization. But that doesn't happen for everyone, and it's a miserable way to live for a few months. At the end of the day, we put these labels on cats because we love them. We want the companionship of a pet, and we want it to be easy. But nature isn't always easy. It's complex, it's messy, and it's full of microscopic proteins that decide whether or not we get a good night's sleep. If you're suffering from allergies, don't lose hope, but do your homework. Focus on the environment. Look for cats that produce less protein, and more importantly, listen to your own body. Don't fight biology just because you really want a kitten. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope this cleared up some of the mystery behind the hypoallergenic label. If you got a story about living with allergies, or if you got a hypoallergenic cat that still makes you sneeze, hit me up on socials. I'd love to hear how you manage it. Until next time, keep thinking about the stuff that matters, even if it's just the stuff floating in the air. Hey, I'm G, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Stay curious.